the 3 psychological factors that determine if someone will be successful in life or not. For about the past 10 years, I've been studying some of the world's most successful people, some of the masters throughout history, the people who live very fulfilling lives. And I've been studying these people to try to reverse engineer their success and figure out how were they able to achieve such enormous success? How were they able to become so happy and fulfilled in their life and live a life of meaning and purpose? And I really wanted to understand the psychology of these people, because it's really not as much about the actions that these people take. I think we often tend to look at the surface level of things, and we think that if we just imitate successful people and do what they do, that we'll get to where they are. And I think that's sort of missing the point, because we have to see what is it that makes a person do what they do in the first place. It's not just a matter of taking the same actions. It's about having the same psychology, having the same way of seeing things, having the same or a similar perception, having similar feelings and emotions, because what drives us all is our psychology and how we feel. We're going to take very different actions when we're feeling depressed, for example, than if we're feeling full of joy. We're going to take a very different path in life depending on how we feel, and also depending on how we think. How we think determines what opportunities we will see, how motivated we will be, what path we take in life. It's determined by our psychology and our emotions. And so I really wanted to understand the psychology of successful people. And I want to share in today's podcast episode what I learned from studying these people for about the past 10 years of my life. So, number 1 is successful people pursue a life of meaning, not happiness or comfort. And I fell into a trap a few years ago. I was studying a lot of spiritual teachings and learning how to calm my anxiety and live more in the present moment and be at peace with myself. And it was very valuable for me to go through this intense phase of spiritual learning, you might say. But I got stuck in a trap eventually. After so long, I found myself feeling stuck and I couldn't understand why. And it took me a while to realize it. But what I was doing is I was using spirituality and personal development as sort of this chase for happiness and comfort. I just wanted to be at peace, and that was like my primary objective and aim in life, was to be happy, basically. What I didn't see at the time is that happiness can't really be pursued directly. Happiness is something that is developed through the process of growth. And in order to grow, we have to face challenges. So there is really no happiness without getting outside of our comfort zone and doing what we feel called to do. What I was doing is I was ignoring my calling in life. My soul was calling me in a certain direction, and I was ignoring it and saying, no, that's too difficult. That will make me unhappy. And so I was trying to just live for happiness, and I forgot that there's a deeper purpose for my life, and there are things that I still have to learn and grow through. There are still fears and things that I need to overcome. And if I'm not willing to go out and overcome those things and grow through them, then I'm really not going to be able to be happy, because no matter how badly you want to be happy, your ego, your mind wants to be happy. Your soul, or your spirit, you might say, is calling you to do something in this world, to pursue a higher purpose. And no matter how hard your mind tries to be happy, your soul will call you in a certain direction, and it's going to call you towards some of the things you fear, some of the things that are uncomfortable. But I think our soul is calling us in that direction because that is what is going to eventually bring us happiness. That is the path of growth. And through growth, we become more fulfilled. We become more confident in ourselves. You can't really achieve happiness in life by trying to avoid challenges. And that's what I was doing for so long. I was using spiritual teachings and things like that to try to avoid any challenge or discomfort in my life. I just wanted to be happy all the time, 24/7. And I do believe that we can reach that point, but I think that we have to find a balance between the two paths. We have to We have to be in this world, live in this physical world, do the things we need to do, fulfill our obligations and our responsibilities, listen to our soul's calling, be active and taking action in the world and serving other people. We have to be doers. But at the same time, we can also, focus within and focus on our, how we're thinking and how we're feeling. And we can take both of those paths simultaneously. And I think we have to do that if we're going to find true inner peace and fulfillment. We can't avoid challenge and try to just, sit around and just meditate all day or whatever. And I think that doesn't work. And I see that a lot, especially in the spiritual community, people who are on a spiritual path like myself. I think we're all on a spiritual path, whether we know it or not. But nonetheless, people that are aware of it, I think a lot of them are really just like, they suffered a lot in their life, just as I have, just as so many people have. We've suffered a lot in our life, and so we want to avoid that suffering. We want to try to get past that suffering and not suffer anymore. And sometimes we think that the path to not suffering is the path of no challenges. But that's actually not true, because fulfillment comes from growth, and growth comes from going through the challenges that we need to go through. It doesn't mean that we have to challenge ourselves all the time and do things that we don't really feel called to do. But there are things that you feel called to do in life. And if you're not following that path, then I don't think you'll ever really be fulfilled, because you're not pursuing what you are meant to. I think we come into this life with a certain purpose, with a certain direction that we're supposed to take. And if we're not listening to that inner guidance, then we're never really going to be fulfilled. So focus on a life of meaning and purpose, not necessarily a life of happiness and comfort, because happiness comes through pursuing that life of meaning and purpose. Even if it's temporarily difficult and challenging, the happiness comes through the process of that, because it helps you grow and become more of the person that you're destined to be. Number 2 is that successful people are independent thinkers, and they're not afraid, or maybe they are afraid, but at least they're willing to get outside of social norms and expectations, and they're willing to stand out from the crowd and be seen as unique and different. So many people in this world live their whole life for approval. They want their family's approval. They want people to like them and think they're cool or whatever, and they don't want to be seen as weird or eccentric or whatever. And I had this fear for a long time too, because I have some passions in life and interests that are outside the norm. Not a lot of people that I've met have the same passions and interests as I do. And for a long time, I resisted sharing this information because I was just terrified of criticism, people thinking that I'm weird, that I'm different, that fear of being misunderstood, and I had this fear a lot when it related to my family. My family is on a different path than I am, and we all have our own unique paths in life, and I think we have to honor that path and honor what our heart is really telling us to do, and we have to do it even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's scary, even if you're going to be misunderstood, because there are people out there who need you. There are people out there who need to hear your unique perspective on things. There are people that will benefit so much from you just being you and being authentic. And I also think we're never really going to be happy in life if we can't be authentic, if we can't be true to who we are, if we live our life to please other people and to satisfy other people, and we do that at the cost of what our heart is really calling us to do, then we'll never be fulfilled. True fulfillment doesn't come from being liked or being respected or being looked up to. That's not where fulfillment really comes from. I think fulfillment comes from being true to ourselves and being authentic and being okay and comfortable with who we are and not feeling the need to apologize for that. You don't need to apologize for being who you are and taking your unique path in life. Even if other people don't understand it or they don't agree with it, it doesn't really matter. If you sacrifice what you know in your heart is right for you, if you sacrifice that, you're going to live your whole life a slave to other people's expectations and desires. You're never going to be true to yourself, and therefore you'll never feel fulfilled. So that's number 2, is be willing to stand out, be willing to be unique and be seen as weird or whatever it is, and stop living to please others. Stop living to be liked just be you, and not everyone will like it, but there are people out there who will love you for exactly who you are. And that's where the fulfillment in life comes from. It's from being true to ourselves, and I think that is attractive also. So oftentimes we might think that will make us lonely because no one will understand us, and we'll never find other people who have the same interests as us. And if we just try to fit in, we'll have more friends. But the problem with that is if you're not authentic, you might have more friends and stuff and more people to talk to and relate to, but those relationships tend to be a lot more shallow and surface level. And those surface level relationships, those shallow relationships, don't really fulfill you. At least I feel that way. Like, I don't get fulfilled from small talk and having shallow relationships with people. I would much rather have one or two really good friends that I could dive deep with, and that we really resonate with each other and have the same interests and passions and can talk about the same things. I would rather have one or two friends for the rest of my life, and that is enough for me, than to have 50 shallow acquaintances, So it's about the depth. It's about the meaning, and the way you will attract those really healthy relationships into your life, those people who resonate with you. The way you attract those people is to start being more authentic, start being more real and natural. Number 3 is they do it for the love, and they let money be a byproduct of that. So a lot of people have this backwards, I think, and I think we're often taught this when we're younger. We're taught that you should first go into a career that is going to pay you well. I did this when I was graduating high school. Everyone told me that I should be an engineer or a doctor or something like that. And I went to school for engineering because I knew that it was a decent paying job. I would be able to make a good career out of that. And that's what everyone around me was telling me to do because I was good at math and science and things like that. So I went for engineering, and I hit the lowest point in my life that first year of college, my freshman year, because I was so miserable. I hated what I was doing so much. Like, I didn't have any interest in the classes that I was taking. I didn't see the point of it. I knew it wasn't right for me, and yet I felt like I had no other option. I felt like I was forced to take this path in life that just wasn't me. It just wasn't. I knew that's what I didn't want to do that, and I didn't know how to get out of it at the time, and I felt kind of hopeless, and I fell into a very deep, dark depression at that time because I just didn't see a way out. I didn't know what to do. I didn't really think that college was right for me. I didn't think that career path was right for me. It just didn't feel right, and I almost dropped out of college and went into the military because I was just so desperate. I was like, I'll just go into the military. Maybe that will give me some sense of direction or purpose in my life. And thank God I didn't do that either. I knew that that wasn't right for me either. But I did drop out of college, and it's been a long journey, a lot of ups and downs, trials and errors. And it took me a while to really figure out what I'm meant to do in this world and find that higher purpose. But let me tell you, it's so worth it. No matter how long it takes you, it's so worth it to finally find that thing. It doesn't matter how long it takes you. It's about the journey. It's about that journey of self-discovery, really finding what you're meant to do and not living for others and not needing to please others. And we talked about that. And I feel that I've finally come to a place in my life where I feel that I'm doing what I'm meant to do. I feel that I'm on my purpose, and I understand my path in life now. I see where I'm going. I see what I'm meant to do. I see my whole life unfolding, and I can kind of anticipate it. And I know some things will change, but it's very freeing to know what you're going to do for the rest of your life. To have that certainty, like, yes, this is what I'm meant to do, this is what I love, this is the path I'm on, and I can do this for the rest of my life and enjoy it. And I don't feel the need to change career paths or do something different. This is what I'm meant to do. I think very few people in this world have that feeling, that they're doing what they're meant to do. Very few people feel that sense of certainty that they're on the right path. And oftentimes it's because we're living for other people and not ourselves. We're not being true to ourselves. We need to be willing to break the mold, break free from the social norms and expectations, and follow our own path in life. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's scary, even if you think it's too risky, even if you lose everything in the process. Trust me, I've been there. I've hit rock bottom. I've been homeless before. I've been 3 months behind on my rent and my bank balance is negative $200 and I don't even have enough money in my pocket to buy groceries for the week. I've been there. And I understand that it's difficult, but it is worth it in the end when you finally figure it out. It's worth it to go through the pain and the trial and error. And it's not that it has to be super painful. If you get a mentor or a guide or someone to help you along the path, that can dramatically shortcut the process for you. It doesn't have to be painful, but I'm just saying that even if it is temporarily uncomfortable, it's still worth it in the end, because when you finally break free and you find that you're self-sufficient and you're on your own path and you're living for yourself, being true to yourself, and you're doing something that serves others, but you're not doing it to please others. You're doing it because that's your soul's calling. That's your purpose in life. And when you find that path, it's fulfillment for the rest of your days. It's happiness for the rest of your days. And you couldn't have that if you had not found that path. So no matter how long it takes you to find that path, to find your purpose, to discover that, no matter how long it takes you, just do it. Start the journey. Take the first step, because it is worth it when you do figure it out. I promise you. So those are the 3 psychological factors that I believe make someone successful in life. And there are other factors, of course, and I'll be talking about more of those in these podcast episodes. So if you want to hear more about how you can create a life you love from the inside out, just subscribe to the show, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.